It's funny how a simple parking ticket can turn into a full-blown war. And not just any war, one that ended with me owning every single parking spot in my neighborhood. Yeah, you heard that right. The same HOA that fined me for parking my work truck outside my house ended up watching me legally take control of something they never thought I could touch, their precious street parking. I didn't plan to go nuclear, but when they pushed me, I pushed back harder, and let's just say they never saw it coming. It started on a Thursday morning. I was sipping coffee, checking my phone, just about to head out for my first job of the day. I'm a contractor, roofing, framing, electrical. Whatever folks need, I get it done. My truck, a Ford F250 with a toolbox rig in the bed, and my company logo on the side. Nothing outrageous. It's just a solid work vehicle that's helped me feed my family for years. I'd been parking it in front of my house since the day I moved into the neighborhood. No one said anything, not once, for nearly 8 months. Morning, I spotted a bright orange slip tucked under my windshield wiper. Violation, commercial vehicle parking, Section 14B of the HOA code. I blinked. At first I thought it was a prank, but it wasn't. The fine was real, $75. I laughed, shook my head and thought, okay, they must have made a mistake. I'll clear this up. So I called the HOA office, and that's when I met her. Linda. Now, if you've never dealt with an HOA tyrant before, let me introduce you to Exhibit A. Linda was the kind of woman who sounded like she smiled with her teeth, not her heart. Sir, commercial vehicles are not permitted to park on public-facing streets overnight, she said. It's in the handbook. I calmly explained that the truck wasn't a delivery truck or a box truck, just a pickup with tools. It's no bigger than most SUVs on the street. I even offered to park it a little further down, away from the mailboxes. She wasn't having it. It's a commercial vehicle, she repeated, cutting me off. You've been in violation multiple times. Consider this a formal warning. Multiple times? This was the first notice I'd received. I asked her when they had warned me before, and she dodged the question. It's when I realized this wasn't about the truck. This was about control. I paid the fine, didn't want drama. But I also decided I wasn't going to keep my head down. The next day, another notice. This time, it came with a threat. Failure to comply may result in further fines or towing action. Oh, I was angry. I posted a photo of the fine on our neighborhood Facebook group with the caption, "Guess working for a living is illegal now." The comments exploded. Turns out I wasn't the only one they'd targeted. A delivery driver down the block had been fined for parking his Sprinter van. A nurse got a letter for parking a car with decals on it. A guy who ran a lawn care business had to stop bringing his trailer home at night. One woman even got fined for parking her SUV too close to a tree. This wasn't enforcement. This was bullying. I decided I needed to speak at the HOA meeting. When I showed up that evening, Linda was there with her pearl necklace, clipboard, and a tight smile. "Public comments are limited to 2 minutes, she chirped. I stood and said, "Look, I work for a living, not bringing junk into the neighborhood. My truck is clean. It's insured. It's street legal. And it doesn't block anyone's view or driveway. If this is about aesthetics, then fine, apply it equally. But don't selectively target people who run small businesses." There was some polite clapping. One board member nodded. Linda just stared at me like I'd tracked mud on her floor 2 days later. I got another fine. That's when I decided I'm done playing defense. I started researching. I wanted to know exactly how the HOA had the power to regulate street parking. That's when I found the loophole and the opportunity of a lifetime. Our neighborhood wasn't entirely private. The homes were built around a loop with inner streets owned by the HOA, but the outer road, including the one in front of my house, was still technically city-owned. That meant the HOA didn't have full authority over that road unless the city granted them enforcement rights. So I filed a public request to see if that permission had ever been officially granted. It hadn't. Then I took it a step further. I started looking into adjacent land use permits. Turns out, the lot across the street, an abandoned, grassy area that hadn't been used in decades, was up for lease from the city. Zoning allowed for residential auxiliary use, which included, you guessed it, private parking. I filed paperwork. I applied to lease it. I even offered to maintain the area at my own cost. 4 weeks later, it was approved. I spent the next month transforming that dusty patch of land into a legitimate parking lot. Gravel, signs, even a few solar-powered lights. And then I posted a giant wooden sign, reserved parking by permit only, apply with Tom Construction Services. Posted the same in the neighborhood group, permits. Free for anyone who'd been fined by the HOA for parking in those spaces. They were. Directly across from the same board members who voted to fine me. Every morning they woke up and saw a row of work trucks, vans, and wrapped vehicles lining the property, all parked 100% legally. Linda was livid. She tried everything, claimed I violated noise codes, said I needed HOA approval. Legal action, but she had no power. Land was city leased, not HOA governed. And the best part? Every time someone parked there, they felt safe because they knew someone was finally standing up to the nonsense. But I wasn't finished. With the help of some of my construction buddies, we started buying up the rights to old unused easements. Around the neighborhood, some were small, barely enough for 2 cars, but we turned them into legal street-side parking zones. We even painted lines, installed permit signs, added motion lights. All told, we claimed nearly 30 parking spots. Then I sent a letter to the HOA board. If you fine another resident for a vehicle-related violation that does not involve blocking driveways, emergency access, or breaking municipal law, we will expand permit parking to another 15 spaces. With a discount for anyone who has received an HOA fine. The board went silent for 2 weeks. Then, they scheduled an emergency vote, by a narrow margin. The HOA suspended all fines related to vehicle parking for review and policy reevaluation. It wasn't just a win, it was a message. People in the neighborhood started talking. The elderly woman who ran a cleaning business could now park her van outside. The guy who delivered packages overnight didn't have to worry about being towed. One neighbor started a small landscaping side gig and kept his trailer in front of his house without issue. They even invited me to run for HOA president the following year. I declined. I wasn't interested in power. I was interested in fairness. And sometimes, fairness has to be forced. The most satisfying moment came when I overheard Linda at the grocery store telling someone she was taking a break from board duties to focus on self-care. In other words, she was done. Couldn't take the heat she herself created. You know, people always think revenge means being petty, but to me, revenge is justice with a blueprint. I didn't scream, didn't vandalize, didn't throw tantrums. I used their own rules. I found the loopholes. I did the research. And then I made sure they couldn't bully the next guy just for trying to make an honest living. The truck, still parked in front of my house, still spotless, still mine. And every morning when I walk out to it with my coffee in hand, I smile, knowing that while they tried to fine me into silence, I turned their fine into a foundation and built something they can never tear down.